The ink was still wet on the divorce papers when Maureen's hand started shaking. "Just page 7, ma'am. Sign right there." The lawyer's assistant, a young Korean man with wire-rimmed glasses, tapped the line with unnecessary insistence. His finger lingered there, pressing into the paper like he was afraid she'd skip it. Maureen didn't care. Her eyes were too blurred with tears to read the words anyway. Joint assets, liability transfer, party of the first part. It was all legal gibberish that meant one thing. Derek was done with her. On Valentine's Day, after 3 years of marriage, she signed. The assistant smiled, just barely, just enough for her to notice something off about it, and slid the papers into a folder. "Congratulations on your fresh start, Mrs. Wright, or should I say Miss Adiemi again." Maureen grabbed her purse and walked out of the law office into the February cold. Atlanta's streets were decorated with red hearts and cupids in every storefront window, mocking her. Couples walked hand in hand, carrying roses and chocolate. She pulled her coat tighter and tried not to cry harder. Then she saw him. Across the street, leaning against a silver BMW, Derek had his tongue down some blonde woman's throat. His hand was on her ass, the same hand that had held Maureen's hand at their wedding, the same hand that had promised forever. Maureen's phone buzzed. Then again. Then it didn't stop buzzing. Instagram notification, Facebook notification, Twitter. Derek had posted a photo, him and the blonde kissing with a caption, "Finally free to love who I'm meant to love. Happy Valentine's Day to new beginnings. #single and ready #fresh start." The post was already at 300 likes. Maureen felt the sidewalk tilt under her feet. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a public execution. On the day of love, he'd made sure everyone knew she wasn't enough. You just made a terrible mistake. She spun around. The lawyer's assistant stood behind her, but he'd removed the glasses. His face was sharper now, harder, expensive suit under the cheap blazer he was unbuttoning. He handed her a business card with one hand while pulling off a fake mustache with the other. Han Gyeol Bak, private consulting. No address. Just a phone number. Who the... Call me in 3 hours when you realize what page 7 actually said. He walked past her, sliding into a black Mercedes that appeared from nowhere. "And Miss Adiemi? Don't bother going home. Your apartment's already empty." The Mercedes disappeared into traffic. Maureen ran. Her apartment door was open. Everything was gone. The couch, the TV, the kitchen table, their wedding photos, all of it. Even the curtains had been stripped from the windows. The only thing left was her suitcase of clothes, sitting in the middle of the empty living room with a note on top. What would you do if you came home to find everything gone and your bank account at zero? Would you fight back or walk away? Drop your answer in the comments below, and if you're hooked on this story, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Sorry, babe, but I needed a clean exit. Check your bank account. Actually, don't. It'll just make you sad. Happy Valentine's Day. D. Maureen checked anyway. Balance, 43.67 cents. Her savings account, $0. Her business account for the online boutique she'd been building. Account closed. She called Derek, straight to voicemail. She called the bank. "I'm sorry, Miss Adiemi, but according to our records, you authorized the closure and transfer of all funds to account holder Derek Wright on February 10th. I never... We have your signature on file, ma'am. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" Maureen hung up and pulled out the business card. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely dial. Han Jael answered on the first ring. "Ganyam Pocha. Come alone. Ganyam Pocha was an upscale Korean restaurant tucked into a renovated warehouse in West Midtown. Red paper lanterns hung from the ceiling. The smell of sizzling meat and fermented vegetables filled the air. It was 9 p.m. on Valentine's Day, and every table was full of couples except one in the back corner. Han Jael sat alone, pouring soju into 2 shot glasses. Maureen slid into the booth across from him. "Who the hell are you?" He pushed a shot glass toward her. "Someone who just watched you sign away your life." He raised his glass. "Jombe, I'm not drinking with you. I want answers." Han Jael downed both shots himself and pulled out a folder, the same folder from the lawyer's office. He opened it to page 7 and slid it across the table. Maureen read it, then read it again. "Hereby transfers all ownership, liability, and legal responsibility of Wright Financial Consulting LLC to Maureen Adiemi, effective immediately upon signature." I don't understand. Derek ran a consulting firm. Why would I? Wright Financial Consulting is a shell company. Han Jael poured another shot. Your husband, sorry, ex-husband, used it to launder money for my family's business. $8 million to be exact. Money he stole from us 6 months ago. Maureen's stomach dropped. What? As of 4:47 p.m. today, you became the legal owner of that company, which means you're now legally responsible for the $8 million Derek took. Hangale's eyes were cold. The FBI has been investigating Wright Financial for 3 months. They'll come for you next week. My people? He smiled without warmth. We could come for you tonight. This is insane. I didn't know anything about... I know you didn't. Hangale leaned back. That's why Derek chose you. Smart, beautiful, trusting. You were the perfect patsy. Sign the papers while crying about your broken marriage, don't read the fine print, and boom. He walks away clean while you take the fall. Maureen felt like she was drowning. So what? You're here to kill me? Threaten me? I'm here to offer you a choice. Hangale slid a phone across the table. On the screen was a photo of Derek at a Valentine's Day charity gala happening right now at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. He was in a tuxedo, the blonde woman on his arm, both of them smiling for cameras. He hasn't run because he doesn't think he needs to. He thinks you're too broken to fight back. He thinks you'll spend the next 3 days crying into wine while he moves the money offshore and disappears. 3 days? The money's locked in an encrypted account. Derek needs to physically transfer it by February 17th or my family's security protocols freeze everything permanently. He knows this. He's planned everything perfectly. Hangale's jaw tightened. He's at that gala right now, celebrating. Probably going to propose to that woman at midnight. Make it a real Valentine's Day spectacle. Maureen stared at Derek's smiling face on the phone. That smile. The same smile he'd given her when he proposed 2 years ago. The same smile he'd given her this morning when he kissed her forehead and said he had errands to run. What do you want from me? Help me get close to him. You're the scorned ex-wife. You show up at that gala, make a scene, get him emotional and off balance. My cousin Min Seo has been undercover as his girlfriend for 2 months. She'll get him alone, drug him, extract the account passwords. Hangale's voice was flat, businesslike. You do this, and I'll make sure the FBI investigation points away from you. I'll clean up the paper trail. You walk away free. And if I don't, then you're facing federal charges and a very unfortunate accident. Your choice. Maureen looked at Derek's photo again, at the blonde woman who'd replaced her, at his smug, victorious face. I want him destroyed. Hangale smiled for the first time. Get dressed. We have a party to crash. The Valentine's Day charity gala was exactly the kind of ostentatious display Derek loved. Ice sculptures shaped like swans. String quartet playing Vivaldi. Men in tuxedos and women in evening gowns sipping champagne that cost more than Maureen's car payment. Maureen wore a red dress she'd been saving for a special dinner with Derek. The irony wasn't lost on her. Hangale stayed near the bar, watching. He'd explained the plan in the car. Maureen confronts Derek publicly, creates enough chaos that his new girlfriend, Hangale's cousin Min Seo, can suggest they leave early. Get him alone. Extract the passwords. Simple. Maureen spotted Derek near the stage, laughing with a group of older white men in suits. Min Seo clung to his arm, playing the devoted girlfriend perfectly. She was stunning, delicate features, designer dress, the kind of woman who belonged in Derek's new life. Maureen walked straight toward them. Derek saw her coming. His face went white, then red. Maureen, what the hell are you... Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Her voice was loud enough to turn heads. You cleaned out our accounts, took everything. On Valentine's Day. Maureen, you're making a scene. Good. Everyone should know what kind of man you are. She was crying now, real tears of rage and humiliation. 3 years of marriage, and you threw me away like garbage. Security started moving toward them. Derek grabbed her arm, his grip tight. You need to leave. Now? Or what? You'll ruin my life more than you already have. Maureen jerked free. You're a coward, Derek. A pathetic, cheating coward. I'm calling security. Derek pulled out his phone, but Min Seo put a hand on his arm. Baby, let's just go. She's drunk or something. Don't let her ruin our night. Min Seo's voice was sweet, soothing. Let's go back to your place. I have a surprise for you anyway. Derek hesitated, then nodded. He turned to the gathered crowd with his camera-ready smile. Sorry, folks, just some Valentine's Day drama. You know how exes can be. He laughed, and a few people laughed with him. Actually, since I have everyone's attention... He pulled Min Seo close and dropped to one knee. No, Minseo Park, you've made me the happiest man alive. Will you marry me? Minseo's face showed genuine shock. This wasn't part of the plan. The crowd erupted in applause as she stammered. Yes. Yes, of course. Derek slid a ring on her finger and kissed her while cameras flashed. He looked directly at Maureen over Minseo's shoulder, his eyes glittering with triumph. Security escorted Maureen out. Did you see that coming? Derek just proposed to Han Gil's cousin in front of everyone. Do you think Minseo knew this would happen? Or is she just as trapped as Maureen? Tell me your theories in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you're Team Maureen, and subscribe because this story is about to get even crazier, he proposed. That son of a bitch proposed at a public event. Han Gil was driving too fast through Atlanta's streets, knuckles white on the steering wheel. That wasn't supposed to happen. What does it mean for the plan? Maureen sat in the passenger seat, her hands still shaking. It means Derek's confident. Too confident. Han Gil's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and swore in Korean. Minseo says they're going back to his penthouse. She'll signal when she has the passwords. They parked outside Derek's building in Buckhead, the penthouse Maureen had helped him pick out, the one she'd thought would be their forever home. Han Gil killed the engine at 11:30 p.m. She should signal by 11:45. Then we go in, confirm the passwords work, and end this. Maureen watched the clock on the dashboard tick forward. 11:40. 11:45. 11:50. Midnight. Valentine's Day was over. No signal. Something's wrong. Han Gil was already out of the car, pulling a gun from under his seat. Stay here. Like hell. Maureen followed him into the building. They took the elevator to the penthouse. The door was unlocked. Inside, the lights were on. Minseo was unconscious on the couch, breathing but unresponsive. Derek was gone. On the coffee table sat a note next to an empty syringe. Did you really think I didn't know she was yours? I've known for 6 weeks. Happy Valentine's Day to the happy couple. Hope you enjoyed the show. By the way, check the time in Seoul. D. Han Gil grabbed his phone. His face went ashen. No. What? What's in Seoul? What's today's date in Korea? February 15th. Why does that? Han Gil punched the wall. My father's will, his entire empire, restaurants, real estate, investments, legally transfers to me at midnight Seoul time on February 15th. Has for 5 years, waiting until I turned 35. So you get your inheritance. That's good, right? Unless I'm implicated in a major crime in any country before the transfer is complete. Han Gil turned to her, his face a mask of fury and fear. If I'm connected to the missing $8 million before midnight Seoul time, there's a clause. A contingency heir. Who? My father's illegitimate son. Someone I didn't even know existed until 6 months ago, when Derek started working for me. Han Gil laughed bitterly. That's why he stole the money. That's why he married you. He needed to get close to my operations, steal enough to make it a federal case, and time everything perfectly so the authorities would come for me before midnight Seoul time today. Maureen's head was spinning. So I was just, what, part of your family drama? You were the emotional manipulation he needed. Marry a good woman, play the loving husband, then devastate her on Valentine's Day so she'd sign anything without reading it. He knew you'd be too destroyed to think clearly. Han Gil checked his watch. We have 53 minutes. 53 minutes until what? Until Derek becomes one of the richest men in Korea, and you go to prison for fraud, and I lose everything my family built. Han Gil started pacing. The money's already moved. He's already gone. We have no proof he coerced you into signing page 7. It's over. Maureen's mind raced. Derek's smile, the blonde woman who was actually Han Gil's cousin, the public proposal, the way he'd looked at her as security dragged her away. He'd planned everything, timed everything, used everyone, but he'd made one mistake. I still have page 7. Han Gil stopped pacing. What? I signed page 7. Which means I legally own Right Financial Consulting. Maureen pulled out her phone. And I have my marriage certificate, which proves I was married to Derek for 3 years. I can testify that he coerced me, manipulated me, used emotional abuse to make me sign documents I didn't understand. That won't stop the investigation, no, but I can file an emergency injunction. Claim fraud, duress, emotional manipulation. Request that all assets connected to Right Financial, including any inheritance claims tied to criminal activity, be frozen pending investigation. Maureen was already dialing. It won't prove Derek stole the money, but it'll tie everything up in legal hell for years. including your inheritance transfer. The sole lawyers won't be able to complete the transfer if there's an active fraud investigation. Hungale stared at her. That freezes everything. My inheritance, Derek's claim, all of it. Exactly. Maureen held his gaze. Which means you'll need to negotiate with me to get your money released. 50-50 split, and Derek gets destroyed in the process. You want half of my family's empire. I want half of what I'm about to save. You have 50 minutes. Deal or no deal? Hungale pulled out his phone. I'll call my lawyers. They filed the emergency injunction at 11:47 p.m. Seoul time. At 11:52, Hungale made a second call to the FBI agent who'd been investigating Wright Financial. Anonymous tip about Derek's location, his real identity, and his plan to flee the country. At 11:58, Derek was arrested at the Atlanta airport, trying to board a flight to the Cayman Islands. At midnight Seoul time, the inheritance transfer froze mid-process, triggering a legal review that would take months to resolve. By 12:15 a.m., February 15th Atlanta time, Maureen was sitting in Hungale's Mercedes outside the FBI field office, watching Derek get escorted inside in handcuffs. He'll try to make a deal, Hungale said quietly. Testify against both of us. Let him try. I have recordings of everything from tonight. His note admitting he knew about Min Seo, his confession about the timing. Maureen watched Derek disappear inside the building. And I'm the sympathetic victim. Betrayed wife, manipulated into signing documents, just trying to survive. Hungale almost smiled. You're better at this than I thought. I had good teachers. Maureen opened the car door. I'll be in touch about our arrangement. Don't try to screw me over. I have copies of everything. Where will you go? Somewhere that isn't Atlanta. Somewhere Derek's face isn't on every news channel. She paused. Your cousin, Min Seo. Is she okay? She'll recover. Derek used Rohypnol. She won't remember much. Tell her I'm sorry she got caught in this. Maureen walked away from the Mercedes, from Hungale, from the FBI building where Derek was probably already trying to negotiate his freedom. She called an Uber and went to a hotel, paid cash for a room far from her old neighborhood. She didn't sleep. She spent the night documenting everything, emailing files to 3 different lawyers, and setting up offshore accounts with fake names. If Derek had taught her anything, it was how to disappear. Year later. Valentine's Day. Maureen owned 4 boutiques, was 3 states, was thriving under a new business name, new brand, new everything. She'd testified against Derek 3 times, each time dressed perfectly, playing the victim beautifully. He was serving 15 years for fraud, money laundering, and theft. Hungale's inheritance had been released after 8 months of legal battles. He'd honored their arrangement, 50-50 split on the liquid assets. She was set for life. A delivery arrived at her flagship store in Charleston. A dozen black roses and a card. You were supposed to be the victim, the broken woman who signed her life away. Instead, you took everything from both of us. I'm impressed. Happy Valentine's Day. H.G. Maureen smiled and burned the card in her office fireplace. On her desk sat a folder, evidence she'd been quietly gathering for months about Hungale's remaining operations, Derek's other victims, and the lawyers who'd helped orchestrate the whole thing. She had meetings scheduled with prosecutors in Atlanta and Seoul. Derek had taught her how to manipulate. Hungale had taught her how to play the long game. But Maureen had learned the most important lesson herself: never let anyone see the trap until it's too late. She opened her laptop and began typing an email to the Seoul prosecutor's office. By next Valentine's Day, she'd own even more than half. After all, she'd signed page 7. She knew exactly what she was doing. Wait, do you think Maureen is the hero or the villain here? Did she deserve to take everything, or did she go too far? I need to know what you think, so drop your hot takes in the comments. And if you loved this Valentine's Day revenge story, hit that like button and subscribe, because I've got more plot twists coming your way. What kind of story should I write next? You tell me.